Hello, Africa. Hello, my African people. Once more, this is your brother, Ben Ikari, reaching back out to you with a brief talk because we have to continue to talk about Africa. We don't have to worry about the places in Africa that the media don't want the world to see. That's not necessary at this point. But we have to and must continue to talk about Africa, to discuss Africa, to ignite that higher consciousness in all Africans so that everyone would be in that mode. The governments would be in that mode, will see the need because the world is getting harder. It appears the world is becoming more dangerous than we thought. Almost every corner. And most of their arsenals, you will be surprised, might be facing Africa, where all the resources they need are deposited. Therefore, my African people, wake up. We've been talking about this wake up, and it's becoming more of a beautiful slogan. We will not stop. Even though we are waking up, we would continue to echo it. Africa, wake up. Africans, wake up. Because there is no more time. The world is heating up. It's getting harder. We mustn't be caught off guard as Africans. Europeans seem to be encountering lots of issues in addition to the Ukraine war or war in Ukraine. Recently, if I may add, President Emmanuel Macron of France warned Europeans that there is that high possibility, the propensity that Europe may fall, that is, no longer exist as it is known. That doesn't mean the whole place will disappear. But in terms of power, in terms of wealth, in terms of the geopolitical, player, all of that would no longer be or would reduce to an unrecognizable level. He, however, encouraged Europeans to also wake up and sit up and mustn't depend solely on America for defense, for their defense, their security, and other needs. What, of course, Mr. Macron refused to tell Europeans, which we can all sense because we've been seeing the rush, we've been seeing how Europeans have been coming, since Africans have been waking up even beyond wars. Some African countries have reasserted their self-determination rights and sovereignty and not allowing foreigners, Europeans or Americans alike, of course they are, mostly European, Euro-Americans, to dictate to them what to do, who to be friends with, who to sell to, who to buy from, who to support. Because it's about sovereignty. And as I've said previously, Sovereignty is for the people. So the people of Niger Republic, the people of Burkina Faso, the people of Mali, and the rest of them, even Senegal, that is waking up, and Guinea, a lot of them waking up. The people have the self-determination. And so, whether it is a military government or a civilian government where elections are held, whatever government, whatever system of government a people chooses, that is by choice. That is the government that they desire and deserve, and must be respected as such, because leadership and development is not limited to only so-called democratic governance or entities that are based solely on election. The only thing that is consistent in democracy, so-called, is election. Governance is not consistent. Good leadership is not consistent. The evidence is clear, whether it is in Africa, whether it is in America, whether it is in Europe, you name it. Because democracy is about the people, it's government of the people, meaning the choices of the people must be respected and executed accordingly. But no so-called democracy does that. None. The government played to the dictates of special interests. We can see what's happening in Israel. When the American government keeps sending money to Israel and sending arms, contrary to the position of most of the people of America. See what's happening on campuses. A lot of campuses are having a lot of runs now with security because of the peaceful campaign, rally, protest marches, seeking or demanding divestment and ceasefire. So it doesn't matter where you look. And as I've mentioned in some times ago, when the military took over in Niger Republic and people were talking about democracy, shouting, if you look in Nigeria, for instance, and other African countries, just look at what was happening in Niger Republic. Even though the government was civil, the government there, government of Bazoum, was just laying down and waiting for France to direct her on what to do. But look at what has happened. Niger Republic is now in control of its uranium that France was taking undue advantage, selling it at international market price and demanding that France buy it accordingly. And it's helping to generate economic development in the country, putting the country on the path to becoming one of the fastest growing economies, not only in Africa, but in the world. So it's not only democracies. Look at Nigeria, for instance. No civilian government has created a state in Nigeria. All the states in the country were created by the military, even though created by fiat, by military fiat. Okay? The level of insecurity in Nigeria today would not have been there. The level of corruption today, where politicians are stealing the country blind, would not be there. The military kind of has its own problem. Individual leaders, or call it presidents or head of states, they have their issue. They have their corruption issue, like Abacha and Babangida, but and even but looking at Obasanjo, who was also a military head of state or military personnel, military officer, and also became a president, you see the difference in terms of corruption, right? There was stable or steady electricity under the military. Citizens behave themselves. I mean, there's no reason for citizens to be in unnecessary fear, but people were not just running amok, stealing and cutting people's head, doing whatever nonsense, dehumanizing activities as possible. Yahoo, stealing by tricks and all of that. I mean, there was 419, they call it in those days, but it wasn't what it is today. Official theft is like madness, and the place is in a big quagmire. Therefore, it doesn't matter so long as the system of government chosen by the people happen to be meeting the needs of the people. Would you prefer a military government that gives you all the development you need, allows for peace and tranquility, allows for unity, equal opportunity, health care for all, or at least reasonable healthcare system and education, a government that make it possible, easy for job creation, and so on and so forth, compared to a civil government, civilian government that does the opposite, which of course the evidence is clear from when the military came back to Nigeria from about 1999 to date. The most you can think about is individual government officials, politicians especially, and those within the presidency and other entities enriching themselves and taking the wealth out of the country to either America, France, Germany, the UK, or Swiss bank. All right? That place that was supposed to be the most corrupt place in the world, country in the world, but it's not even on the corruption index. A place that houses a bank, an international bank that takes all stolen money, or a great deal of stolen money, and is now listed as most corrupt. That tells you the power game and the narratives. Therefore, my people, to end a long story, France Macron has refused to tell the Europeans the whole truth, which is that Europe might be in trouble because of Africa rising, because of Africans being conscious and willing, determined to reassert their right, their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and their sovereignty, which means they have the right to determine what is best for Africa. And now what's best for France or America or other Western states or European countries or China? I mean, there is need for relationship to continue, bilateral relationship, multilateral relationship. Of course, Africa is open for business, but Africa must decide who has the best of its interest in terms of respect, in terms of understanding, in terms of what they bring and willing to keep in Africa and not taking everything away, like America, France, the UK, and the rest of European countries have done for decades. Africans must be careful not to allow the West to trick us into believing that they have a different plan. No, for over 60 years, they've not done anything different but to exploit, to undermine, to disrespect, to dehumanize, and to call us all sort of names, to look down on us as beggars, as people who don't know anything about life, as backward, as shithole. But they don't stop coming to that shithole place to take everything away. Therefore, just look at it. France has lost grip on Niger Republic, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Other so-called Francophone countries in Africa could be joining these three pace-setters in a new currency away from the French franc, but still hooked, unfortunately, to the euro, as reports have it. Therefore, as Africans, even though we may see China and Russia as a possible help in case of any eventuality, because I fear somewhere in Europe may be tempted to be upset with the African liberation that is moving her from the stronghold of so-called neocolonization. Africans must start now to come together under one strong, knowledgeable, formidable leadership and solid currency, powerful army or military. Every indices I look at points to the fact that the world is boiling and may burst from somewhere. Who knows? It may burst from Africa with all of the things happening, because Africa holds the key. It is in Africa that all the natural mineral resources are in high deposit, in high quantity. Therefore, we have to wake up. We have to wake up beyond the slogan. We have to be more practical like Burkina Faso, meaning we have to join hands with Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic. There is no two ways about it. If we really believe in one Africa, if we hate colonization and imperialism, then we must hate the boundaries. Just like Mr. Julius Malema rightly pointed out, we must not hate colonization and imperialism, but love, embrace the division colonization and imperialism created. No, it cannot work that way. So African unity is very, very important. We must realize this goal because it is the only way out. You never know what might happen after Gaza, after Ukraine. Therefore, we have to start the transition on a very strong term. The transition will not be easy. I nevertheless encourage us Africans, African states, to slowly but steadily get used to the realization that only one strong and central government chosen by Africans and not any outside country or entity, and African-oriented choices and decision-making will save our beautiful, wonderful, and very powerful yet enviable continent. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic are waiting. They are waiting. They are waiting as the base. Even though we begin as 3 countries, as the above union, or 5, 8, 10, or even 15. 15 countries as one bloc, one new bloc, one new stable African government. It is worthwhile, as the result will persuade others who may be standing on the fence. Comfort, they say, is the enemy of progress. Therefore, my African people, given that most African countries appear comfortable right now, because politicians and rulers therein are kind of benefiting alongside the imperialists who give them peanuts in the midst of too much, which, if in our direct control, will help a great deal, will help the realization of the African dreams, especially with a focus, or with a focused and honest, purposeful and strategic, committed leadership that loves Africa and willing to take its development to the next level. We must therefore join forces as a people, as one people, and dissolve the imperial masters' division in the name of the current countries that we have, that evidence have shown are now working for Africans. Evidence has shown that it's not working for Africans. Okay? We must join forces, because this is in no mistakable terms the African answer to the African questions. We must wake up and see what is happening when Burkina Faso and Mali, Niger Republic reassert African sovereignty with a focus on nation building and people's empowerment, safety, and security. The time is therefore now, my people. No more time to waste. No reason to wait or slack behind. Wake up, Africa. Wake up, my people. Wake up, Africans. Stand up, speak up, and act up for the good of Africa, for the good of the African child, for the defense and the joy of the African child. Thank you very much. Ben Ikari. Peace.